Good morning. Welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So this is my weekly program that I do called This Week. This is episode number 21. This will be for days that fall between December 4th and December 10th. I think it's 10th, right? Yeah, 10th. So the week of that week, anyways. So this week we have basically 5 plus my series, so 7, so 12 shows all together. And also, for those of you who have not been or not seen this episode before or not seen this week's series episodes, basically what I do is I use this episode to tell you what's going on for the week on my channel, what's up and coming. If there's been any issues, I'll discuss them, or if there's some things that I use this also to try to sort out confusion. Now, I have been doing that a little bit on some of the other episodes too, but I want to kind of do away with that and just concentrate on the episodes and not add things at the end or at the beginning that kind of people aren't going on that episode to hear that. They're going on that to hear what I'm doing. So this is the episode for all of that, and that's what I'm going to try to stick to from here forward as I reorganize and do things the way that makes sense for me and for others. So anyways, we've got some new stuff going on. Probably the first 2 things we should discuss, well, actually there's 3 things. The first thing I'm going to discuss is the Steve Howe Rock Legends episode C that was supposed to go yesterday at 10 a.m. I had an issue with the internet. It was intermittent, so what I was getting is I'd get 20 minutes of good and then it would go off, and then it would just shut off, and then it would come back on, and then I had to start again. So I did that a couple times, and then I said, you know what, I'm running out of time here. I have to be a couple places, so I decided that in the interest of doing the episode right, I was going to just cancel it for Saturday and tell you guys about it today, which is what I'm doing. And we will be back at it again next Saturday at 10 a.m. for Rock Legends featuring Steve Howe. This will be part C, and for those of you who don't know what that's going to be, it's going to be about his stuff other than his time with Yes and his solo stuff. So we'll be doing stuff like GTR and Asia and Steve Howe trio, and any other thing that I may come up with before here and there. So I just wanted to apologize for that. It wasn't intentional. It was just bad timing, I guess. Quite windy outside. I don't know if it had any effect on the internet or not, or the connection or whatever it was, but I couldn't get the connection going properly, so that's basically what happened. So we'll be back, and hopefully we won't get the repeat of that again. Okay, so the second thing is another kind of bit of a negative thing, I guess, if you want to call it that. The Friday night live experience that I've been doing now for, I don't know, it's probably been about 7 or 8 months. I'm going to suspend it. I'm not finishing it. I'm just suspending it for the winter months because I have another commitment that I want to be involved with that conflicts with that time period and makes it difficult to do either of them right. So I'm giving the nods to the other thing because I think it's important for me personally. So it will come back in the spring, and I'll assess it when it comes back in the spring as to what to do. Depends on what happens with the commitment I'm making, and we'll decide at that point where and when to slot this show in, because I still want to continue with it. I like it. I think it's been received fairly well, that show too. So for those of you who do watch it, I apologize for the time period that it won't be out there, but we'll get back to it again in the spring. So to make up for that, the third thing I wanted to talk about was Ben's album challenge, which has been coming out pretty much bi-weekly, although it's been a little bit messed up a little bit for the last few weeks because of the confusion about the albums that were supposed to be done. Turned out he got 2 good albums instead of 1, so I guess that's a positive, right? But anyways, I've talked this over with Ben, and we both agree that this album, this show, I wasn't so sure whether I was going to be able to listen to an album appropriately enough to do a review on it. That would be like, I wanted to do it right. I don't want to just do a haphazard thing. I don't like doing haphazard things. It leaves me feeling like I cheated, and then that people feel cheated as well. I don't really like doing that. So after having done it now for, I think we've done 6 episodes, I decided that we're going to go weekly with it. I discussed it with him. He will give me an album weekly, and we'll do that weekly and see how that works out. It'll be on the same slot time period that it has been, 8 o'clock on a Sunday night here in Eastern Central Canada. I like to call it Upper Canada, which confuses people. That's what it was originally called. There was originally 2 provinces. This is not going to be a history lesson. There was originally 2 provinces. Actually, there was originally 3 provinces. There was Acadia on the East Coast, Lower Canada, where Quebec is, and Upper Canada, where Ontario is, and then they all got their own names later. But I sometimes refer to it as Upper Canada, which confuses people. So anyways, here in Eastern Standard Time, it will be 8 o'clock or 8 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. I know that Ben is in Australia, so I can never quite remember if they're 2 days or 2 days ahead or 2 days behind. You'd think I would know that. I went to New Zealand, and I think I left on February the 3rd and got there on February the 3rd. And when I was coming back, I left on March the 7th and got back on March the 5th or something. Anyways, you'd think I would know that, but I don't, so I apologize for that. Maybe I'll get it right someday. So there we have it. Those 3 are the 3 kind of changes to the channel's content. That's what I'm looking for, the word content. I've kind of lost it there for a minute. Getting old is not good, man. Anyways, well, it's not for your memory anyways. So we have, those are the 3 changes for the episodes coming up. We also have the series that's going to be running, or has already started running. It started running on December 1st, which was Thursday. Yeah. And it should be 4 episodes now, because this morning's would have come out. And I'm trying to do that. I'm going to talk about the series a little bit first before I get into the actual shows that go on. So with the series, for those of you who don't know what that's about, for the month of December, I'm doing 1 album for 1 group, 31 days of albums, 31 groups. Progressive rock albums from the 1980s only. So the requirement for the album to be reviewed here, or for the album to be chosen, it has to be an album I, first of all, have never heard before. And you could have a couple of one-time songs that I heard off or may have been familiar with a little bit. I'll give it that. But I've already had to change 1 album because there was 1 song on it that was very familiar to me, and I just felt that it didn't fit to the bill that I'm trying to keep here. So I took it out and put another album in there from the same band. So what it is that we'll be doing 1 album, and only 1 album per band. I'm not doing like 4 or 5 albums from 1 band. The band gets 1 album, that's it. It's an album I haven't heard before, I'm not familiar with, and so I get a good reaction. This way we learn something new about a new album, or at least I do, and hopefully you learn something as well. And the other thing is that there's basically the criteria, there's 4. There's bands that I'm very familiar with and own lots of their stuff, but for some reason don't own this album. There's bands that I'm familiar with. I may actually own some of their material and like it, but have not listened to this particular album either. The 3rd criteria is bands I may have heard of. I may actually have heard a song or 2 of, or I may just know of the band, but I have not listened to the album. And the last category is bands that I don't know anything about, have never heard, and know nothing about the album. So those are basically 4 categories. So what I've done is I've taken the list and I reorganized it so that all the groups that are in the list either fall into one of those 4 categories, and I've stationed them that way. And then I'm going to try and rotate it so that I don't do too many of the same type in the same category, so that it's a little bit variety and it's a up and down, so everything gets treated kind of equally. I didn't do that for the first 2 or 3 episodes. I just chose what I wanted to, and then I decided to do that at that point, and I'm going to stick with that. So having said that, so the albums that will be coming out, and you've already heard one of them today, was the Jethro Tull's A album. Now, Jethro Tull falls into that category of bands that I know really well, and this is just a particular album that I've not heard. I know I listened to the entire album and did the video on it and realized I didn't know a single track on it, but the video was out this morning. So the next group was Sagas, and Saga had that issue. It was the band that I had never heard, because I'm trying to pick an album I've never heard before, but there was one track on the album that I had picked that I had heard, and I didn't realize until I started to do it, and it was from the Silent Night album. So I had to go back and look at the other albums in the 1980s to see if there was one in there that fitted, and if it hadn't, I would have had to find a different band. But there was one in there that looked like it was promising, and so I picked it, and that was of Wildest Dreams. The other, so on day 6, we have Fate's Warning, Perfect Symmetry is the album. I'm going to need to put my glasses on, I think, because I'm not seeing too well today. So anyways, Fate's Warning is, from my general understanding, is a progressive metal band. So they fit, I'm trying to do a little bit of all kinds of music, not just progressive rock, but some of it, as you know, progressive rock often is mixed with other genres. So I wanted to give a little involvement with the metal community. I've discovered over the years that I'm not really as much a heavy metal fan as I used to be. That's more me than it is the metal. I think the actual genre of heavy metal and all the different subgenres of heavy metal are so good now. Like, there's just so much to choose from, and so much, like, the bands are so good that if it had come out when I was younger or when I was into them, I probably would have been like up my alley with it. But I've grown less interested in metal over years, and I don't know if that's my age or just my taste in music. Nothing against the genre or the people that listen to it. I think it's fantastic stuff. Okay, but I'm giving Fate's Warning as a progressive metal band here, so they'll come out on day 6. Day 7 features a band called Kayak. They're a Dutch band, and the album is called Merlins. I know nothing about them. They fit into that category. I don't know a thing about them. Fate's Warning was a band that I had heard of, so I knew that what they were, but I hadn't never listened to their albums. So the next one out was Robert Wyatt, which is that Old Rotten Hat. This is again another band that falls with Kayak. I chose 2 here. I'm not really sure why I did that, but I did. Anyways, I know why. Because the Kayak band is Dutch. The music may be Dutch and it may not be in English, so I didn't want to just do that and then ignore the rest of that part of that genre. So that's why there's 2 of them here. Okay, so for day 9, it's King Crimson's Discipline album. Yep, we'll be doing this one. No, let's go this way. My apologies. Discipline. So I'm becoming familiar with King Crimson quite a bit. I have, as you've seen, 2 albums in my look back at a classic rock album list. This one here is from 81 or 80. I think it's 81. And the writing is damn small. Even with my glasses, I'm not going to see it. So we'll be doing this one on day 9. And I just forgot to show you this is the Jethro Tull album A that I did this morning. So I forgot to put that up for you to see. Okay, so the next and final one for the week will be Camel's Nude. This is a band that I have one album in my playlist right now, and many people will be quite familiar with this album who listen to Camel. Moonless. Moonless? Moon Madness. I knew it wasn't right. I knew I wasn't reading it right. So Moon Madness, that was the album that was in my playlist. And it's not going to go back in, so put it there. But the album I'll be doing for the 1980s is Nude, which is, of course, an album I've never heard, but I do know the band, and I am familiar with the band, and have owned some of their material. So that will be day 10, which is the last one of the week. I've decided to give all of this stuff on the series. I don't sometimes I don't do it because it's kind of a surprise, but for this particular subject, because there's no best to worst type of thing here, I decided to just do it. Okay, so then that's it for the series. So coming up for the other shows, Ben's album challenge, of course, will be tonight at 8 o'clock, as it always is. The album he's given me for this week is from a band called White Wing. Sorry, I wrote Wing Wing. I forgot the white part. Anyway, so we'll be doing that album tonight. And to be honest, I forgot to look up the album. I just realized I've listened to the album twice now, but I didn't look at the title of the album. I've just been listening to the music, and when I wrote it down, I forgot to write down the album title. I like to do that, so people are at least familiar with the album I'm going to be doing. Okay, so then we have our Wednesday night favorites, which is a show comes out on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And this week we're doing, and I believe I got this, I changed it once, but this week we're going to be doing, I forgot to talk about Monday night. So let's digress back to one night to Monday. I forgot about that. So our Monday night look back at a classic rock album will be this one, Rumors from Fleetwood Mac. And this is, of course, goes without saying, great album, and I'm doing this as a tribute to Christine McVie, great musician, wonderful songwriter, fantastic vocalist, good keyboardist, and one of those people that just oozes class, and I think really was the kind of the glue for this band, just in my opinion. And I'm not a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, but from the outside observer, that's what I see. So then we go to back to where we were before I had skipped it, which was Wednesday night favorite. So this week we're going to do, had Cheap Trick on the menu here for the top 10, but I've been doing a lot of top 10, so I thought I'd give them a break here, and I'm going to do a top 25 favorite hard rock bands. Now, I have done my top 25 favorite hard rock albums, which I screwed up a couple, but this time we're going to do our top 25 favorite hard rock bands. Shouldn't be hard to find. There's lots of really good bands out there, like tons. So we'll be doing that for Wednesday night favorites. So for the Friday night spot will be empty this week and will remain that way until spring, as we've previously discussed. Then we go to the Rock Legends show, which will come out 10 a.m. on the Saturday Eastern Standard Time, of course. And that again will be the attempt number 2 to do Steve Howe Part C. So I'm looking forward to doing that, getting it done, and sharing my love of Steve Howe with you guys. Okay. So what is left here? I think that is it. That is it for the week. So we've got quite a bit going on. At least I've got quite a bit going on, and I'm looking forward to it. This is my Steve Howe prop. I'm bad with the props today. I'm not getting them. Anyways, this is Steve Howe and Paul Sutton, but we're not doing that. But I just wanted to give a little get-go there to Steve Howe, who I think is one of the excellent musicians in this world. And so that's it. So that's what's happening. I'm already starting to think about what I'm going to do for my series in January. Am I going to do a series in January? So far I haven't done back-to-back months, but I'm considering it. It just depends on what topic I come up with and how much involvement it requires and how much preparation it requires more than anything. So if I can find something that suits that, then we may do a January one, or we may go in February. So I have some ideas, but if anybody has any suggestions out there that they want to put forward, or something they'd like to see, or something that they think would make an interesting show, as Ben will tell you, I'm always open to listen to what people have to say. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of This Week, number 21. And we'll be back next Sunday with This Week, number 22. So please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. And we will be back tomorrow with something else. Take care. Bye.